All right. Well, hi, Ciara. Thank you for being here. I'm Nate Jarrell, if you are watching this on the channel, and this is Ciara Hegli. Ciara was one of my students at Canyon Crest Academy. When did you graduate? Now I've lost track of time.
2017.
2017. Okay, cool. So every time I talk to one of you folks that have graduated, I feel older and older. Um, but that is awesome, and she's out doing very very cool things in the music world. And this is the first interview in a series of them that are going to come up. With a number of our former students who are doing really cool things. Ciara is currently on the road with Paramore. And has been doing a bunch of other very interesting things, doing lighting and video with them, and has been all over the place. Was just in South America, I believe. Right now, she's in Nashville, and then headed to the UK. And so, super cool stuff. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of how she got where she is and her path there and all that good stuff. So, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
And
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about like what the last couple months have looked like for you first, and what you've been out and about doing?
Good thing. Yeah, so for the last couple months, I've been Paramore's full-time media server operator and more recently also their video programmer. So I handle all of the, like, if you go see a Paramore concert, they have a big screen behind them, and I'm in charge of everything that goes on that screen and making sure that it runs well and the servers that operate it. And also now, like, the iMag screens to the side of them. I control lots of screens. I think about pixels every day.
That is very very cool. And I also saw you recently. You were in San Diego recently, and who are you up with at that
Yeah.
point? On that tour.
You came out to see me when I was doing the lighting director for Motion City Soundtrack
That's
on
right.
that
Yeah,
tour. So I also do lights too.
yeah. So with Paramore, you're more on the video side, and but then also lights with them and all that good stuff. Is that kind of accurate?
Absolutely, yeah. Like I'm networked in on the lighting console. I'm part of that network and stuff. But they've had a lighting director for 16 years, and he's very much in charge of all that. We just have to work very close together. But that's a bigger operation than Motion City Soundtrack, where they
Yeah.
can afford all that and multiple people.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, can you tell us a little bit about maybe first, what your college or what your degree is in and what you did college-wise, kind of on the music side of things. And you were at Drexel, is that correct? Am I remembering that right?
Yep,
Um,
Drexel
and
University in Philadelphia.
and so what you kind of did specifically there, and then how that may have kind of turned it the into what you're doing with both lighting and video, and a little bit about your experience at Drexel.
Copy that. Yeah, so I'm a graduate of Drexel University, their music industry and production program, and which has two tracks, a business track and then a track that's called recording arts and music production, or like tech. So I was on the tech track of music industry production. That's my major. And also it comes with a minor in business. So add that on there. And hugely inspired by all the classes that I took that Nate like hosted at Crest Academy, like DigiComp and stuff, which was awesome and inspired me, yeah, to like go towards a like pursuing being on the like technical side of the music industry. And from there, at Drexel, I studied lots of classes about like microphone types, and you got to learn all the different. I don't remember anything audio because I don't use it anymore. But like, I took a ton of theory classes. I took a ton of stuff about like, yeah, like technology. A huge amount of like mixing and mastering. I had like people next to me were geniuses. They could pick out frequencies, like listening to them and stuff. And I never got to that level, but it was really cool. I learned a lot of useful skills about like signal flow and just like how to interact and interface with like a lot of different programs. Which that's the most useful thing I learned is just like how to learn different skills.
Cool. And how did
Yeah.
that transition into the video and lighting side of things for you? Like, how did you make that kind of switch into that realm?
So my middle of my junior year, we hit a global pandemic and I needed an internship, and they gave me some alternatives that were really bad, like take a class about how to get internships because you're a failure at internships, or like just find anything right now. And so I chose, okay, I'm going to find anything right now. And there was somebody who had gotten my same degree from Drexel who had stayed in Philly for like 10 years before. And he was like, I got something you might be able to, if you have a microphone and your own gear, you can help me record a podcast and that'll be your internship. And then it turned into like, okay, we're gonna actually take your laptop and interface and microphone on the road and we're gonna go and like go to, there's like a protest, we're gonna see who we can, like whose voices we can get here. And like it just was this bizarre experience. And then he didn't have actually enough like jobs to dump on me in order to make it a full internship, so he passed me off to another graduate who had graduated with the same degree as him but less time away from me. And he was like, well, I don't do audio stuff, but I am a touring lighting guy and I'm learning video. And do you want to learn video with me? And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And he kind of dumped me on this project that he had started at a warehouse that used to host raves, but they were doing DJ live streams. And he taught me the basics of how to VJ, and he taught me Resolume, which is an awesome program that everyone should try out for free trial Resolume for free. And yeah, it was cool. And I like also we started adding more bells and whistles to that with like green screens and then like projectors and stuff. And I just like gained a lot of skills during the pandemic, and also doing like making music videos for my friends, making like drawings for myself, like learning how to animate and stuff. And so like I just picked up a lot of weird stuff during the pandemic. And then as jobs started to come back, when touring came back, which I had not touched at all or thought I was going to be part of at all pre-pandemic. I was a child. I like at that point I was probably 20 when the pandemic hit, and I turned 21. And then like they twice as many tours as had been booked like before the pandemic got booked for the year after.
Yeah.
So there was this huge deficit in like operators, and so I got on a tour because they needed somebody really fast and really cheap. So they settled for somebody with no experience. And then I've just been touring ever since.
That is very cool. And really interesting kind of how you ended up in, and I think that's the way a lot of those things happen is like, I think, and even things I thought I was going to be doing are not necessarily exactly what I was going to do, but you end up kind of traversing all that stuff as you go along.
Yeah.
On the side of kind of developing and getting to where you were, as advice for our students, is there anything that you wish you had known coming out of high school, going into a music program like that or a production program, or you wish you had done differently prepping for that, or that you think would have been good to have in a high school program to prep for it a little bit more? Anything like that that you, looking back, feel would have been useful before you got to that point?
I don't know. I feel like I was very well set up coming from Canyon Crest Academy, going into a music like technology program with all the stuff that you had offered. It was so rare that a lot of people didn't get to experience that. So I felt very privileged. I wish that I personally had paid way more attention to theory. So if you're going to study anything music, you should prepare more about theory, because of course it's going to be in there.
Do you hear that,
Dingus.
kids? Every single person that graduates and goes off to music school says the same thing when they come back. So practice your theory.
But I don't use more video, but if you're going to study it, you're going to definitely use it to take tests.
Yeah.
So um, that's true. I don't know.
That makes me
The
happy to
best
hear that you
advice that
felt like you were prepped coming out of our stuff. So that's really good.
absolutely, if there was any way, and this is like this was just be cutting edge and not you're kind of ridiculous for a high school, but if there's any way to find the intersection of audio and video, that's exactly the niche that like everyone told me to ride. When I was full-time audio, I was trying to prepare for, I was a sophomore or junior and I didn't know where I was going to go, but I thought I wanted to go into possibly like soundtracks or like ADR or like voice, like audio recording and stuff, not being the like voice actor, but just doing the recording. Because I was super interested in movies and stuff. And so that was my whole thing. And I found a lot of cool opportunities doing that as well. And that's the same kind of deal where it's like there's a little bit of a deficit. You can find a cool hole. There's a niche doing audio for video. So if you can find a way to sneak that in there, and then also similarly doing video stuff for audio.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs. Very cool.
That's awesome. We actually have some new stuff that kind of maybe might go in that direction, but we could definitely do more of that over there. So that's very cool to hear. So after we talked, I think you kind of touched on this already a little bit, but like after, you finished school and did those internships and kind of got that first tour, how were you finding work, and how did things work with networking your way into bigger situations that then ended up with where you are now? Can you talk a little bit about like how you approach that, and some advice on the whole networking side of things? Because that's I think a huge part of how you make all those connections happen.
Absolutely. It's entirely networking. And my dad used to tell me that. And I used to not believe him, but it's 100% your network. I have never had a resume in like 3 years. Like since I graduated, I've not updated my resume. And I like my whole career path has changed. It's entirely word of mouth. All people you know, never burn bridges. And oh my gosh, there's some bridges that you want to burn, but like, no. Um, people, yeah, people will talk, and if you're nice, especially in like an industry where everybody has to work so closely and like also sort of live and travel together so much, like if you're just very pleasant and you're very on time and you're reliable and you're just like willing, and you have to be a little bit like small too. Like you have
Yeah.
to kind of understand like, oh, you know, I work for Paramore, right? But I'm a little guy that has to take up a little bit of space and stay out of people's way, and people value that so much. So yeah, I don't know. I just gotta, you know, I came out in a very weird time, being so young, that people have taken me on for gigs, expecting that I'm just gonna like they're gonna be my new mentor too. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's funny, but just like be willing. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, it's entirely 100% networking how I get jobs. I have
Yeah.
no other advice except for like be nice to people and be cool.
Yeah, that's probably, I mean, be nice to people and be cool. I mean, obviously you have to be able to do the job and know all the stuff to do the job, but also that's, especially living on the road, I would imagine is a huge part of that, because you're just kind of a little moving city with all these people. And, you know, if you're not fun to be around, they're not going to want to be around you. So, so
Yeah.
very, very, very cool. How did you end up with the Paramore gig? Was that just somebody else, like where you just recommended because of other things you had done, or how did that come about?
I met them through the original mentor that I mentioned, the people that hired me for Paramore. It just is such a small industry that like everybody knows everybody. So the guy that had met me, that had graduated from Drexel and taught me how to VJ, he was the guy who had been asked initially for my first tour, like, hey, can you go out for like very little money, very very fast, like right away? He was like, no, I can't, but I've got this chick that can do it. And then that design company has hired me back for a couple more gigs, and one of their team members is just friends with the drummer from Paramore, and so they got the chance to design Paramore's underplay tour, so like smaller venues than Paramore should be doing, but for like more intimate shows last year. And I had just come off of the Motion City soundtrack tour, which had involved some of those same exact venues. So I was totally underqualified for the band, but like the design team was also kind of a little bit underqualified to design, and they knew me. And I had just been visiting all these places. So I already knew the like house people and stuff. And it just kind of, I was available, and they were like, oh, you know, let's get a girl out there.
Yeah,
So like, and I appreciate that always when they do that. So,
yeah, that's
and
awesome.
now, and then Paramore decided to keep me. So now I'm with Paramore.
So in other words, more networking and more being cool to be around, and that is
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's that pretty much does it. Cool. Can you describe like what a day on the road with Paramore kind of looks like, and also what for those that haven't gotten to get out on the road yet, what tour life is like and how to manage that and all that craziness?
It's awesome. It's scary. Uh, uh, a typical day on the road with Paramore, like it really depends what we're trying to accomplish. But like as a media server operator, when I'm on the road, what I'm trying to do is I'll wake up probably on the bus or in a hotel, and I'll get, you know, lobby call, or I'll be at the venue, and I go out and I get catering breakfast, and I don't do much until I watch all the big strong dudes like up in the rafters, like rigging stuff with chains, and I wonder, I wonder how you get that job. And then I go and I set up my computer over in front of house, and I have people run a like line, art, not art, what is it called? Like fiber snake to off stage, and I run back and forth all day, just trying to network with like the guys in audio world, so that I get time codes, so that my video plays at the same time as the lights, at the same time as their like tracks, and you know, in their ears and stuff, at the same time as the click. And like I spend all day talking to the lighting guy, making sure that our stuff looks right, and like meticulously going through all the content, and like talking to the video director, making sure he's got all the camera cues and stuff. It's cool. I spend all day at a computer, but at a computer in like different arenas in different like cities around the world.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. And
It's fun.
Ciara's gonna share some pictures from the road with us, so I'll edit some of those in here right now. We can check some about what she's been doing out there. So you were talking about having a lot of talking with the audio people and all the lighting people and everything. Does having somewhat of an audio background before you did all this other stuff help with communicating with those folks, so you're speaking the same language, or is it Is it, do you think it would benefit somebody to know all those worlds at least a little bit if they're going into one of those worlds?
Totally. It helped the guys stage left like me more,
Yeah.
first of all, because they were like, oh, she's not just a video person, even though I don't know anything anymore. But absolutely, because like audio is still very much like routed into my world, and it still is like a part of how concerts run, no matter what world you're in. It's also the entirety of what it's about. Somebody's a lot of people say nobody goes home humming the lights, you know. So
Yeah.
like it's just on top of being everyone's like main priority, you should also know it because it will be like interacting with your world somehow, no matter what
Mhm.
you're doing at a concert. Um, but also, what is it? I don't know. Oh, signal flow, just like knowing like signal flow, that
Yeah.
like, which is, huge, a huge part, like inputs, outputs, it's the same thing, it's just different cables and like
Yeah.
different, numbers to worry about. But like, yeah, that's what I was gonna say is signal flow.
Cool. Very cool. Well, we are all very proud of seeing all the cool stuff you have been out doing, and it's really cool to see you all over the planet doing all of this stuff. So I appreciate you doing this today and for sharing some of this info with our current students and all that good stuff. And we are excited to see what else you have going on here in the future. Anything else you want to share before we kind of finish up?
Fans in South America have kept mistaking me for Haley Williams because I had faded pink orange hair.
Perfect. Very cool.
That was great. That's it.
How was South America? Was that pretty wild being down there?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic, totally multifaceted, very different concerts.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Well, I
Very
appreciate
excited.
you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing this, and we will stay in touch. And thanks so much. And I will. Ciara said we can share some contact info if anybody has questions or things like that. And we really appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.